The topic of today is embracing Vibhishan in your business in 2019. So we need to do a little bit of a backstory just for anybody who doesn't know who Vibhishan is. I'm going to tell you that. He's a character in the Ramayana, plays quite an important part in the Ramayana when things are getting difficult. Like he's I'm just trying to think of a pop culture reference. But he holds a few hidden keys right at the vital moment when everybody else is thinking, man, we are done. He comes out with a little workaround. So he is a really important character. Let me give you the quick, dirty Ramayana backstory. So Ramayana, essentially there was this bad guy called Ravana. He was an asura. He was a demon. He was bad. He was like real bad. But back in the day, if you did enough tapasya, if you did enough like practice and austerities, the gods would give you a boon anyway. So even if you were an arschloch, guess who's been watching German TV over the holiday period, you would still get a boon from Brahma. He would still give you a gift, a special wish, or more if you were lucky. But Ravana had one, and as they tend to do, he requested immortality. Fortunately, there was a caveat. He said, look, immortality, I cannot be killed by gods or demons alike. Now, like I said, he was not a good guy. He was a demon. He was a pretty powerful demon, a power-hungry demon. He was the king of Lanka. And he started to tear the place down, as most good yoga stories start, doing more and more bad things. And the gods got together and they had a power, and they're like, man, what are we going to do about this guy? Because remember, you gave him that boon and he's immortal. We can't get him. If we could, we'd just sort this shit out. But like, we're stuck because he's really intense, he's really bad, and he can't be killed by us. Now, they knew that he could be killed by a human, but because of the nature of his badness, I mean, massive bad, can do all sorts of things, 10 heads, like 20 arms, bad dude, really bad. Most humans would think, no way, you kidding? Go back home, watch Netflix, get someone else to sort that demon shit out. So, they were kind of in a bind. So they decided, well, there's got to be a solution, what can we do? And the solution was this. What if Vishnu came down to us here, down on the ground, in the form of a human? So he would have the power of the gods, he would have the courage of the gods, but he would be in human form. So technically, yoga stories are full of all of these like loopholes, legal loopholes. Technically, he could still kill the demon. Voila, the Ramayana is born. Here's the whole story of Rama, the hero, who is Vishnu in disguise, Vishnu in a meat suit, to come defeat the demon. Now, also, as with beautiful traditional Indian narratives, things get circular and complex. And so this is the story where Ram, blah, 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 long story, gets the wife Sita. She's beautiful. Long story, family dispute, throwing people out of the kingdom, naughty maid, trash talking Rama to his stepmom, nasty stuff. All of this stuff happens. Long story short, Rama and his brother Lakshman, who was actually a divine weapon of Vishnu's in the meat suit, who knew? And Sita all get exiled out into the forest. Piss off, you've done bad things, you're no longer the king, get out of here. You can't come back for 13 years. That happened. And then, so they're out there in the forest doing whatever, and I'm trying to give you the abridged version. This has gone on for 4 minutes already. Anyway, so Ravana has this sister. She's kind of sees Ram. She falls in love with him, and Ram sort of teases her for a while, and Lakshman kind of teases her for a while. This is the point where the Ramayana intersects with Australian pub culture. The girl thinks she's like met two nice blokes and like they're into her, but actually they're just teasing her. That's all I'm going to say on that. But anyway, that happened. Got ugly. She got her nose and her ears cut off, as you can imagine, kind of pissed, went back to her brother and said, look, massive, evil, 10-headed demon brother, man, I've just met this really handsome man in the forest, but look what he's done to my face. Go down there and sort it out. So en route, Ravana sees the beautiful princess, falls in love with her, steals her, takes her to Lanka. Now, this is also the story that happens sort of in Kishkinda, which is the monkey kingdom. Monkey kingdom. Sugriva, Vali, Hanuman, Jambavan, other interesting bears and monkeys, which are the topics of future podcasts, no doubt. They're doing all of their thing. They broker a deal. The monkeys, Rama, Lakshman, get together and they're like, right, let's go save the princess. And the story goes on. So, as you can imagine, when you decide that you're going to take a whole horde of monkeys over a very large stretch of water to defeat an island full of demons, things are going to get messy, and they do. Turns out the weapon of choice in the Ramayana is throwing fully grown trees at each other, particularly mango trees. Doesn't sound like a very masculine encoded weapon. Splat. Anyway, there you have it. Terrible thing to do with the mango. So they're like fighting. There's lots of fighting. There's lots of throwing of trees. There's lots of vomiting up of blood. There seems to be a lot of vomiting up of blood. Anyway, it gets messy. Now, Vibhishana is Ravana's brother. So the bad dude's brother. And he's a demon. He's a bad dude. He lives on Lanka. He's like, doing his demon thing. But he has some redeeming qualities, and he believes in fair warfare, and he has, he still abides by his own dharma. And when things are starting to go sideways, he says to Ravana, hey, you know what? Maybe we just need to give the princess back. Like, this could all go away if you just said, my bad, and took her home to the forest. But of course, Ravana 10-handed, 10 heads, that's a lot of egos. No way is he going to have at it. And in this moment, Vibhishana realizes that actually everything is going to go to hell in a handbasket, and he doesn't want a part of it because Ravana stole the princess. And stealing is bad, whether you're a demon or not. Stealing is not good for anybody. So he leaves Lanka, even though he was the brother of the most evil demon ever. He leaves Lanka and he goes and seeks out Rama, the hero, and Lakshman, his brother, and says, guys, I know I'm a demon and you're probably going to judge me for that, but you know what? I really like what you guys are doing, and I'm wondering, can I join your team? And does that put him through some tests? Because at first they think that he's like a mole or cheating them, or he's, some other demon in disguise. But ultimately they realize, no, this dude's for real. And he's seen the error of his ways, and he comes to join the good guys. He comes to join the Rama, Lakshmana, and the whole Sugriva's whole monkey army to defeat the evil demon, his brother. So, how's that? It wasn't particularly concise, was it? But I'll continue. Anyone who's got any comments to share so far about Amy's quick and dirty 9-minute summary of the Ramayana, type them into the chat. Love to hear from you. Okay, so that all happens. Here's why. There's two reasons why I love Vibhishan and what he can teach us in business. One, I simply like the dude's name. Don't you think? Vibhishana. That's a good name. Vibhishana. Got different pronunciations if you're looking at the Ramayana in India, the Ramakien in Thailand. But a cool name, right? That's number one. Number two, the dude saw where he'd made a catastrophic F-up and decided to change his mind. So I want to talk today about how this applies in your yoga business in two different contexts, because I think both are powerful, and I know that I'll be interested. Share with me, folks, in the chat if you're here with me live. I'd be interested to know if either of these showed up for you in 2018, and which one more predominantly than the other, or do you recognize that you're more susceptible to one than the other? So where I think Vibhishana can model great behavior for us in our yoga businesses is because he had the courage to ask the difficult question. Bro, do you think this is the right thing to do? Or maybe should we just give the princess back? That would have, a whole lot of monkeys wouldn't have died. Hanuman wouldn't have had to fly to the Himalaya and bring back the mountain with the 4 holy herbs. The Ramayana would have been a much shorter book, not necessarily for the better. But, you know, he could have put a pin in it. He had the courage to ask the difficult question. And if you are Ravana, if you are the evilest demon in the whole world, and you have, I mean, you guys, if you haven't read it, you got to go read this book. I mean, seriously, the dude had how do I want to say this in a way that won't get us banned from Apple Podcasts? His palace was full of all that you would imagine an evil demon's palace would be full of. Yeah, we're going to leave it at that. Like he had a lot of ladies hanging out, wearing not much. A lot of wine, a lot of decadent food, a lot of slaves doing whatever he wanted. He was used to being told yes to everything and getting what he wanted instantly. The only reason that he didn't Sita, like he let her stay in the garden for a year, in his courtyard for a year to try and seduce her. And of course she's Sita, as if. She's married to Ram, who's like hot as F and also happens to be Vishnu. Like you're going to go with some like 10-headed demon man dreaming. But anyway, and she's also, you know, pure and dharmic and all of those good things. But he had to wait her out for a year because he had a curse on him that if he had his way with a lady against her will, horrible, he would die. So rather than say that's what he would do to her, he used to say to her, look, you got to, you know, get with this, or I'm going to get my cook to boil you down into soup. She's the most beautiful woman in the world. He can't, you know, he's just besotted with her, and yet he's that evil and egocentric that he would boil her down to soup and have her for lunch. He told her that like at least 2 occasions. Not a nice guy. So you can imagine what guts it takes for Vibhishan to actually stand up and say, hey, you know what, in front of everybody, in front of all the other brothers and the men of the court and all of the army and all of it, to stand up and say, hey, you know what, I don't think this is the right thing to do. I got a bad vibe about this. I reckon maybe we've gone off path and we need to reconsider. Maybe there's a better way to solve this problem. This is what Vibhishan teaches us, and this is such a key learning that I think we forget in business. If we just sprinkled a little bit of that intention over everything we do in business, not to the point of being indecisive by any means, but having that critical friend capacity to say, look, this isn't easy. Maybe there's a different way to do something. Let me check in with the chat and see if this is resonating for folks. Awesome. Love that some of you are getting it. So here's the 2 ways that I think you can apply. There's like an internal application of this principle and an external one as well. So the internal one shows up like, it shows up for standing up for what is right even when it feels uncomfortable. It shows up as self-reflection, svadhyaya, and questioning yourself about your own activity, motivation, these sorts of things. It shows up in having that sense that something is awry and actually taking the time to check in with that rather than ignoring your intuition. It shows up as being real with yourself. Oh, fudge. Doesn't that one kick you in the pants? You think you've done 30 years of yoga and you've got it handled, and then you realize, man, I was an asshole just now. Yowza. Hello, anyone else? Anyone else just spend a couple of days with their family after 10 hours in the car? Yeah, not always at my best. This is what Vibhishan, applying the Vibhishan principle can bring out when we're applying it internally. And I really feel like in 2019, if you do this more, not to the point of becoming neurotic, trust yourself, but starting to get into the habit and having the humility to go there even when it feels scary, very, very powerful. So let me hear it in the chat, folks, if you're watching this live. Like, was there something that happened in 2018 where applying this principle a little earlier would have helped you out? Did you do something that was like, nah, I knew at the start I should have asked myself the hard questions, because that was a move I actually wouldn't have made if I had my chance over. Or did something bite you in the bum? Were you in a little bit of denial about something, and did that one show up because, again, you didn't ask yourself the difficult question? I want to hear it. I know for me, absolutely, I did this one, and it cost me like financially quite a sum, because I invested in a training program, and I had this inkling as soon as I'd signed up, and then a couple of months later the teacher reached out and she said, look, we're changing the curriculum. I think it's going to be better. It's not going to be what you signed up for, but I really think it's going to be better, and I think you should stick with it. If you don't want to stick with it, I'll give you your money back. Essentially. Hashtag great way to do business. Not. Anyway, I had this feeling that wasn't going to play for me. You know, I'm the sort of person who, shout out if this is you, this might be you, Greg, I'm the sort of person who likes to see in bullet points all stuff I'm going to get, so that I make sure that I get it when it happens. You know, I like quantifiable outputs when I spend tens of thousands of dollars on something. But I just smooshed that kind of self-talk to the side. I was like, no, all my friends are doing it. This teacher says it's going to be the right thing for me. I'm just going to go ahead and do it anyway. Even though that voice was saying, something's iffy about this, Aim. I don't think that this is the right thing for you. But I didn't sit down and formally ask myself the question, the difficult question. Do you want to do this or not? Something doesn't feel right here. Are you sure you want to go ahead? I didn't do that. I just coasted on past. And as a result, I spent a lot of money on, it sounds so silly in hindsight, but I spent a lot of money on something that I didn't even want. And of course, didn't serve me in the way that I had intended when I purchased this in the first place. You know, I think this Vibhishana principle internally is really, really powerful in the macro project decisions. You know, you thinking about going back and doing another teacher training. Is that really the right thing for you? If it's a sure yes, it's a sure yes. But if it's a, you know what, no, it's something else for me this year. It shows up in business relationships. Are you partnering with someone? This happened to a client of mine, partnering with someone to teach a retreat. Not long before the retreat was due to start, this woman bailed. 10 of the 12 people coming were from this woman's cooler, and she bailed, and the whole retreat went bad, and that was a significant, holy crap, I've got to go find like $10,000 to pay everybody back now situation for my client. And she knew when it happened, she had that moment of, you know what, I knew this was going to happen. If you have, I knew this was going to happen, it's because we haven't applied the Vibhishana principle early enough. If we take that time to sit down and actually do the inquiry, something doesn't feel right here. Am I being carried on momentum, or am I future tripping into something that I hope is going to happen? You know, is this a hope addiction, or is this really real? Wouldn't be an Abundant Yoga Teacher podcast if I didn't make note now of the relevance to that in the dating environment. I'm just going to leave it there. Just in case anyone that I'm dating is watching me on YouTube. Hi, I'm having a great time. Yes. So that's the way that it can show up first. You, what's going on for you? How are you? Can you use self-inquiry in a not just like your daily journaling or your meditation practice? Yes, do those things. But this is about when you're at a fork in the road. When you are at a point where things are going to go big or go home, when you are at like that moment of the precipice, if you're about to jump off the cliff, net, no net, take time and ask yourself the difficult question, not to talk yourself out of anything by any means. The two examples I've just provided were about making a different decision. These can also be about, God damn it, yes, this is the right decision for me. I know it and I'm going forward 100%. So, you know, it works both ways. Where in your business, maybe in 2018, could you have used that principle of asking the difficult question to yourself to give you a better outcome? And where in 2019 do you suspect that there may be the opportunity to use this? Is there a project that's coming up? Is there are you thinking about going into a business partnership? Are you embarking on new training? Do you have a pattern that just tends to show up like this? One that seems to be coming up a bit for people at the moment is like, who do you rent space off? For all of you freelancers that rent halls and studios and all those good things, like, is there a difficult question that needs to be asked there? Hey, I need to talk to you about my rate. I'm just not feeling that whatever. You know, is the aircon rooted at your studio and you need to have the conversation? Where in 2019 could you apply this Vibhishan principle for yourself more so that you are asking those difficult questions and not getting yourself into hot water and not missing out on an exciting opportunity? Greg says, yep, that's me. Right? Yes, Greg, I knew you were checking off the list. Yeah. Romina says, yes, and hindsight is wonderful. Yeah, hindsight is wonderful, but like, let's preempt hindsight is kind of what I'm saying, Romina, right? Like, wouldn't you just prefer to like be like, yes, that was exactly the right thing to do, instead of like, if only I'd wah, wah, wah. Yeah, I take your point totally. But yeah. Garda says, I have a hope addiction. Does it show up everywhere in your life or just with, anyway, we won't go into that because I would be delving back into the realms of the dating analogy, and this totally TMI for January of the podcast. Let me get into March before Amy starts oversharing with her dating life. All right, so Vibhishan principle application opportunity number 2 is asking other people the difficult question. So like I said earlier, when Vibhishan had to stand up in front of the whole court and say, and the whole court was like getting ready to bring the house down, you know, fighting millions of monkeys and God in human form, who, in case you hadn't figured that out, cannot be killed. Even when he gets close, his huge giant monkey best friend servant rips off the top of a mountain full of medicinal herbs. I mean, how are you going to fight that? It was an uphill battle. They're right at that point. Everybody is quite incensed. It's like that scene in Braveheart where they all flip the kilts and show everyone their ass. It's kind of like that. They're about to like go for it, right? And Vibhishan's like, well, you know, fellas, I'm just wondering, you know, if you really thought this through, could there maybe be like, you know, another workaround here? Like, could we just take her home? That's a big deal. And it takes so much guts, and it takes such a commitment to truth and dharma and authenticity, which is all of the fierce things that you get to learn and play with and grow into as a yogi, right? Like, you think that Astavakrasana is going to make you a good yogi. It's not. Sticking up for yourself and maintaining great boundaries, that's what makes you a great yogi, right? Astavakrasana or Titibhasana or whatever else is, you're like, oh my God, I can't even imagine. Yoga pose, it doesn't matter for crap if you avoid conflict all the time, if you lose your temper in disagreement, if you roll over and self-abandon and let yourself be a doormat when people take advantage of you to the point where they don't even know they're doing it because they just think that's how you are. She's so friendly. She's so accommodating. Or is she just a like radical people pleaser? To not do that stuff takes so much fortitude, and I really believe that that's one of the greatest boons of yoga. And we see it here at this point in the story when Vibhishana asks the difficult question. When he identifies that what is about to go down in his name, in his land, is not okay, actually. And he doesn't want a part of it, and he doesn't think anybody else should do it either. That's a big, gutsy question. So where you can apply this point, you know, a second opportunity, Vibhishan Principle 2019, second opportunity, who do you need to have a difficult conversation with? Who do you need to ask a difficult question of? What is going on in your life because it's actually unresolved? Or what is going on in your life that has the potential to blow up in a way that is just not going to work out? What about this one? What is going on in your life that feels kind of icky or weird to you? Maybe it's not acute, maybe it's chronic. Maybe there's something going on that just doesn't feel good. and you need to have a difficult conversation about it. Is there, this is the sort of thing that I have a friend that I love to hang out with. We've been friends for years, and we make appointments to do things together, and she's always late, and like 30, 40 minutes of a thing when we catch up for like an hour. And that's kind of our friendship until very recently, when we had the difficult conversation, and I said, look, I can't keep meeting you like this unless we're going to commit to a time and stick with it. And that's not easy to do. That's a difficult conversation. Like I said, it's in the microcosm. It's not the big stuff like, I want a divorce. No. Don't be silly about that one. But but those ones can hang around. Is there somewhere? Let's do this one again. Share with me in the. Hey, Susie, share with me in the chat. Have you avoided a difficult conversation, asking a difficult question of someone else regards your yoga business in 2018, or did you do it exceptionally well and you're forging further on your svadhyaya, on your own personal path as a yogi? Yes. And I'm also interested to know, looking ahead, where is there an unasked difficult question that needs to be resolved? Who is it that you don't need to disclose names if you don't want to, but where does that conversation need to be had so that you feel like you're in alignment with your path? Remember, Vibhishan, he knew that the situation was wrong. He could see that there was actually a solution that wasn't going to lead to genocide. He asked the difficult question. He was shut down and he kicked out. So he wasn't attached to the outcome. You can't always get what you want, but you've got to ask. And I think this is what he models for us so well, that even when everybody who is on your team shuts you down, it doesn't mean that way that you feel is untrue for you. It was untrue for Ravana, absolutely. It was untrue for Ravana's kids. It was untrue for all of the other brothers, and Kumbhakarna and all of them was like, no, what are you, nuts? We're going to fight. It was true for them, but it wasn't true for Vibhishan. And as a result, he took himself over to the mainland and became the servant of Rama and Lakshman. And like I said at the beginning, when I was doing the truncated, shortened version of the Ramayana, he had some really special little tricks and tips that he could tell the brothers when things were going kind of sideways, because he was from there, he'd done the Reco trip. He knew all of the secret stuff on Lanka. He was a good friend to have. And Susie says, I accepted a class style change, which I didn't agree with, but I said yes. And every week it felt icky about it. And it took almost a year before I finally decided to let that class go. And I'm so happy about it. It tends to go like that, doesn't it, Susie? It tends to be like revelation when you finally stand up for yourself and do what's right for you, regardless of what everybody else is. I love that story. But I think, one final piece for the conversation today, and keep sharing, folks, in the chat, because I love if we can have this more interactive. Like, if this is resonating for you, or if you've got a story to share, have at it. One of the things that, if you Google Vibhishan and you look at any of these sort of stories, often he is portrayed as like the traitor, and he was. If you were one of the bad guys, if you were an asura, even an asura who was devoted to good practice and dharma and all of those. If you were a dweller on Lanka, this guy's bad news. You're about to go fight for your life. You're about to go back the king of your land, and some sneaky brother pisses off, joins the other side, and then starts telling them where all of your secret hidden magical caves are. That's bad. So again, another beautiful opportunity to learn and reflect here that sometimes, Vibhishana was one of the heroes of the story because of what he helped the good guys achieve. But if you have any whiff of tantra about you, good guys, bad guys, is just, you know, illusion anyway, right? If you're a demon, you think they're the bad guys. So when you do this, when you ask the difficult question, when you stand up for what you believe is right, and when you take action regardless of your peers, not everybody is going to think that you're a great dude. Some people, years later, hundreds of years later, are still going to be blogging about you, saying how he was the traitor of the Ramayana. That also happens. And I guess it loops us back to, excuse me, what is yoga about in the first place? If it's not about having those types of opportunities to learn, you know, if you can't experience what it's like to pursue your svadharma, your own individual chosen path, even when other people are going to trash talk you. Now, I know everybody on the call with me right now has a story about that. Like, when have you gone out and done it for yourself and people have been behind your back? I tell the story often of the first time I was brave enough to actually buy myself so much money, even at an outlet sale. Pardon me while I take a sip of cayenne stuff. And I finally had the courage to buy myself a pair of Lululemon yoga pants. Big deal in Amy's life. Big deal. Amy, who did her whole 200-hour yoga teacher training on a $4 yoga mat from Kmart. Oh! Cayenne. And I put them on, and I went to teach a class with them, and I was really nervous about it. But this is what people wear, and I remember Christina Sell teaching me about, if you wear black pants, people can't see your legs as well, and it's harder for them to learn about anatomy. And I remember my yoga asana teacher in those 200-hour teacher trainings, she would wear those little Iyengar bloomers, not because she liked them. I love you, Iyengis, but those bloomers are ridiculous. But here's what they do. They let you see someone else's legs, and if you're learning about what goes on in the quads or the femurs or the hamstrings or the knees as a trainee, Tracy, get with me on this one, right? If someone can show you their legs, you learn so much faster. So it's going to wear these tie pants, these non-black tie pants, and because it felt right to me, even though no one else who taught in my little country yoga studio wears pants like that. Because who would? Ego. Anyway, I won't go there. So I rock up and I'm ready to teach, and I get there a little bit earlier because I'm practicing and whatever, and the other teacher who teaches at the same time in the studio next door, she's there and getting ready, and she's been there forever. You know, she's an institution in town and everybody knows her, and obviously she knows a hell of a lot more than I do. Just ask her. And she says, I could never wear pants like that. And in that moment, you know, when Hanuman, he's become massive, he's done the leap to Lanka, and then before he gives Sita the ring to say, hey, I'm with your man, he's coming. Before that moment, he shrinks himself down really small so that he can whisper to her and not get busted. I shrunk to about that size. I wanted to die because here was me wearing these who do you think you are yoga pants. Right, has anyone else got a yoga story when someone decided to just make you wrong because of all of their own drama? That's what happened in that situation, she says, 6 years down the road. But at the time, I wanted to shrink down like teeny tiny Hanuman and die. This is what it can sometimes feel like when you decide to go for what you know to be true for you, and it may not be true for the people around you. It takes a level of ferocity to be okay with that. You know, it takes it takes courage, it takes conviction, and it also takes I think community, having other people around you who can give you the F her. It was a good thing for you to do. You can imagine Vibhishan's sitting around the fire with the brothers, and he's like, you know, everyone's like trash talking me over in Lanka because they say that I'm a traitor because I told you guys about that hidden cave, and you know, I'm over here and probably I should be back there fighting with my bro. And Ram and Lakshman are like, fuck that, man. You know, have another non-alcoholic beer. We're going to make you the new king of Lanka, which is what happened. Worked out okay for Vibhishan. But it doesn't always go that way. Sometimes when you ask the difficult questions, what it will raise for someone else might not be what you want. Get out. The situation might not go how you want. But again, it's another opportunity to practice. So I'm conscious of time. Obviously, everybody could talk about the Ramayana forever because it's an epic in the true sense of the word, not just like epic, but actually epic. But here is just one character and one instance of one character that I really felt was pertinent for us in business in 2019. We often talk on this podcast about growth and about promotion and about calling in new people and about tools and techniques along those lines. This feels like a principle that is going to help firm up how your business goes forward. So it's not about do this, do this, do this, do this. It's not another thing to put on the to-do list, but rather a sort of like a Maha teaching, something that sits above all of that as a guide to how you conduct yourself, what you engage in and who you engage with. And as a result, the integrity that you get to feel and maintain in doing business. Because what we know for sure in this community is that we would choose being a yogi over money any day of the week and twice on Sundays. We're not in this simply to make bank. That's a great thing when it is combined with getting to be a good person, whether you're a yamas and niyamas person or not. Being a good person is primary for us in business, and the money is a beautiful and abundant second piece. So this is one of those opportunities. The more you can ask both yourself and others the difficult questions in biz, the more you are going to stay true to your own path, eyes wide open, and have that feeling of being a yogi, of pursuing your own dharma in business, and knowing that what you do is important and is being done in the best way you know how to do. Folks, that's everything that I wanted to share with you today on the podcast topic, Embracing Vibhushan in Your Yoga Business in 2019. For everybody who is in Australia, come along to the Abundant Yoga Teacher immersions happening in Perth, Melbourne, Canberra, Sydney, Brisbane, and just working on finalizing the dates for Adelaide and Byron Bay. $97, bring a friend, no weird, creepy stuff. You're not going to have to like almost rise up and get killed by a fan and burp yourself back to safety. If you want to burp yourself to safety, that's okay too, but you don't have to. It's going to be a great day of yoga business training. It's a day of training and mentoring and coaching with me, of course, and really importantly, it's an opportunity to be in a room with other yoga teachers who are like going to back you and are going to support you and are going to love all over your goals and your intentions and your sankalpa, regardless of what they actually think about them. High vibration, no judgy. I'd never wear those yoga pants. Like, we don't need any more of those people in our professional circles. There's enough of them that we can't avoid anyway. Great community, great sangha forms at these immersions as well. So get yourself a ticket, amymcdonald.com.au/yoga teacher immersions. Grandpa Joe is coming. See you in Brisbane, can't wait. And Tracy says, your teacher immersions are great. Tracy, you know, I was going through all of the photos on my phone the other day, and there's the picture. Remember we did that how do you use word swag with the picture of you at your computer at Amanda's yoga studio last year. I can say last year now. I just was like, oh, there's Tracy. It was so fun. I might go post that somewhere just for laughs. All right, folks. See you all next time. Thanks for being with me live, folks. Everybody who showed up for our new situation. Let's see how it goes. Take care. Bye.
We created the boomerang, and now we're doing the features. Look at, it's like a little witch's coven of Instagram.
Oh, when
Bubble,
shall
bubble.
we 3 feet again?